people are really liking the Bard quite a lot these days. It does give you an added layer of engage. You can set up very well for the team fights if you're on point with those ultimates. And the adaptation that people are making with the W level 1 start to give one of their soul lanes advantage, drop 3 of those health shrines, that's pretty nice too. 100 Thieves does have some engage, with the Lee Sin, with the Ashe, but it feels like they are going to have to be more about, playmaking, getting picks, or playing more towards those side lanes, because I do think that TL has an easier time setting up the 5v5. Champions like Ashe and Karma can struggle to actually avoid the Bard ultimate, and if you get hit by that into an Ornn ulti, the setup for the team fight I think is going to be pretty straightforward for TL.
Yep, the Wombo combo engage there between those two champions is incredibly potent, and specifically CoreJJ on the Bard. The last time that we saw both of these teams play was in their different matches on Friday Night League, and CoreJJ played the Bard in that one going 0-0 and 15. Pretty much the ideal support game on the Bard. Had some pretty crazy plays, including flash double binds with the Q. So the man clearly knows his way around the champion. And I think that 100 Thieves will have to be very, very respectful, as you said, with those immobile carries to make sure they don't get caught in the tempered fate. Because if you do, it's lights out.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3-0 so far on the Bard. It's his most played. He has a 19.5 KDA, so he's clearly been able to be very disruptive. He also is one of the guys that is going less for the tank builds, which I think makes that even more impressive. He very frequently is rushing things like Redemption, going more for the supportive style items, where most of the other Bards in the league, we are still seeing rush Deadmans with Swifties and going more for that pure tank route, which does allow you to play kind of more aggressive. When you go things like the Redemption or heavier damage style builds, you're playing higher risk reward, right? Because the items are going to help out your teammates more and you have higher potential. But if you misstep at all, then you are so squishy and you can just get exploded.
And at the same time, looking at the tools that this 100 Thieves squad has for themselves, you're saying you want to see them play to the sides, you want to see them play to the solos, and I fully agree, because when you compare their engage tools, I'm kind of just looking at the Ashe arrow and saying, okay, these arrows have to hit. Yep. If these things aren't colliding with valuable targets every single time, even if they are colliding, but it's just Ornn stepping in front of them every single time they try to go and engage, that's not going to work out here for this squad. We know how teams with a Karma and a Jayce can struggle if they get pulled into the North America just wanting to team fight, go into a death ball, see who wins type of thing. We're going to need to see some clean macro play from these guys.
We are, and I do think that, it's one of the reasons that I was expecting them to perhaps go for something like an engaged support, maybe towards a Nautilus or even an Alistar. We saw Zeyzal be very effective with yesterday. Obviously, that can be tough because there's a lot of mobility on some of the carries from TL, but I do think that that could have been more the kind of team fight style option. When you go this route, especially if you're going to play Comet Karma, you are saying that you want to slam the lane, right? You're going to crush this 2v2. You're going to get pressure through that. You're going to make your opponents come to you because you will be snowballing dragons. TL's bottom lane should be locked under their turret the whole time, which should allow Contractz to move towards the dragons to try to start stacking those up and force TL to come to them, because that's the way that you really have to play out the game with these style of comps.
Let's see how it shakes out here in the early game with junglers starting off on their respective red buffs. It means they will end up on opposite sides of the map here around that level 3 point. So different opportunities for either side to get involved in those lanes early on opposite ends of the map. Let's see where the Bard Shrines may have been placed down at. You can see him there in mid lane for Jensen. We heard the conversation that you had with Freak yesterday during the games about how this allows the mid laner to take trades that may otherwise be less than ideal, even lose them early on, because it doesn't really matter when the health packs are giving you an extra potion's worth of heal.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the 3, like he started with 2, so I'm not sure if he placed another one top lane or if he just decided to do 2 there and maybe 1 somewhere else for his jungler or something. I have no idea. But 3 is a health potion and a half. Every 2 is essentially 1 health potion. It can depend a little bit on the stat shard start. It could be plus or minus a tiny bit, but it is in that 70 to 80 healing range at rank 1 as long as it's fully charged. So it's a big deal, especially when Jensen already is going to be going, Time Warp Tonic. We can see the cooldown on his corrupting potion there, so we know that he already is kind of itemizing for a lot of that regen, and it's going to make it more frustrating for Ryoma because Jensen can more freely take those trades, which allows you in situations where you would have to be locked under your turret and maybe take a bad recall to trade aggressively, push in waves and reset and potentially save your teleport.
Full side, bottom side jungle clear coming out from Broxah, while Contractz is doing the more typical Lee Sin plays of just making sure that he's going 1 buff to the other side of the map to get involved in things a bit earlier on. You can see here Broxah clearing through those chickens now, making sure that he has 20 farm compared to the 16 of his opponent. And the junglers might get into a bit of a scrap here for this crab at level 3. You know me, Isaac. I love some PvP at level 3 here for the Scuttle Crabs as into the line comes through. Nice smite from Contractz. Broxah chases him over the wall. Not afraid to pursue this 1v1 further, knowing that Jensen is behind him. Yes, Ssumday is coming to collapse, but there's not any real risk of dying here, and Broxah goes ahead, walks on back.
Yeah, that was very calm play from Contractz. You'll notice how he was trying to stay below it to actually push the Scuttle towards top, because he had the pushing top lane, but his mid laner is locked in. So if that is actually moving down towards Jensen, you can't actually take that crab. So, you know, calm play from him, lands the smite, gets out, no problem. Going to be feeling pretty good about that. That is always annoying, though, as Ryoma did actually get the wave into the tower, and that is a roam from CoreJJ, specifically for that mid lane cannon wave, because Ryoma is not playing TP. So if you actually go and you disrupt him on that base timing, you want to base when there is a cannon wave because it takes longer to push in. It takes up to 8 tower shots for that tower to actually kill it off, so you won't lose as many minions. Just by stopping that recall, there is a potential now for Jensen to lock him under the turret and make him take a bad recall to lose a lot of minions, and that alone can decide a lane sometimes. So it's these little things that are very impressive, and the timing, I think, was very intentional from CoreJJ.
And that's what you love to see from a player like CoreJJ, from someone else who's a literal world champion, is taking advantage of those small things that can make or break a matchup otherwise. As topside here, you can see some good trading coming out from Impact. Sometimes, no matter how many times the camera pans up to the top lane and I see Ornn bonking some poor unfortunate dude for half his health, I'm still never used to it. It's still never prepared.
It's crazy, man. You know, anytime you can proc the griddle, it is a lot of damage. So you have to be so careful about that. And, you know, this is also because of the jungle champion that they have, and because of the fact that it's not TP on Orianna. You know, really the only people that he's likely to run into on this Ornn is the Lee Sin and the Jayce, which makes it so easy to just stack armor and not really worry about it, right? Like, if you're really just thinking, okay, 100 Thieves are going to play to the side lane, you go Sunfire, Tabbies, Bramble Vest. Good luck, Jayce. You're not going to hurt him. And the Lee Sin coming up there isn't going to do much either. You can move Ryoma over, but Ryoma's not going to have the safety on the Orianna to split and actually pressure turrets. So that is something a little bit concerning, I think, for 100 Thieves. But instead, they could just try to use the Jayce for early pressure, you know, go lethality, and then try to group and look more for poke and team fight.
Bottom side, CoreJJ and Tactical farming a little bit worse than their counterparts are here. Cody, Sun, and Poome taking advantage of that advantageous Ashe versus Ezreal. Ashe versus... How do my words not work? Something about the word versus and Ashe in the same sentence. It just turns me into
the laser gauntlet boy versus the bow and arrow girl.
Yes, exactly. We have the Frost Archer versus the Pew Pew I steal stuff from museums man. So either way, it's an advantage for Cody Sun on the side of 100 Thieves, as now they're recognizing, translating that advantage over into a Drake, getting this one down nice and early. This is what you were talking about earlier. Yep. Make sure you're facilitating taking these early Drakes and giving your team a win condition.
And when something like that is obvious to me, and you want to see it from the team, right? Because if they're not playing towards those win conditions, then something is generally going to be going wrong. You can also see that they've already taken one turret plate. They're working away on the second. They've had them locked under that turret, so that is going to establish itself, you know, in a bit of a farm advantage. They've grabbed the first dragon, so I think 100 Thieves checking most of the boxes that they would need to this early on. But obviously for Team Liquid, in general, you're just not really worried about dragon stacking, I would say, until the third. So if you are playing kind of the more scaling composition, you can kind of just chill and, you know, wait it out until that third where you start to look to challenge.
Yeah, and you got to be happy about the early control over the jungle here for 100 Thieves, because taking a Lee Sin into a Graves, you would expect the Graves to be able to outpace Lee Sin in the jungle. Graves often known for how quickly and effectively he can farm and be one of those carry junglers, but right now about 2.5 camps behind his opponent. Contractz already level 6, Broxah still only at level 5. I do want to see Contractz get involved, make some kind of a play. There we go, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He gets the kick, but it will not stick. Jensen gets himself away using the flash, still at only half HP. Impact roaming down here to be a part of the fight. Broxah still trying to secure his red buff as Contractz wants to move in even further. Shockwave, but Jensen with a very nice ulti getting himself away, but it will not be enough. Clockwork windup gets the first blood there for 100 Thieves. Ryoma picking up the money as Impact looks for the kill on to Ssumday, but now Impact is stuck in the middle of a 1v3 without the damage, and that's a double kill there for Ryoma. It will finally just be enough to take down Ssumday and at least get one in return there for Impact, but things are going good here in the topside jungle for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, Jensen escaped the initial play because he had a really well-timed sleep that did land on a Contractz. So Contractz kicked him in, but couldn't actually follow up because he was crowd controlled there. He was slept up. But they still decided to stay around and look for that fight. And besides the fact that Jensen had a great ultimate to actually dodge out the shockwave, you still have to return to that point as Zoe. It's not actually creating any distance from your opponents. So Contractz gets on top of him. Ryoma gets on top of him. They're able to grab that kill. And Impact did commit for that fight. And I think, honestly, because of the positioning of the waves, it actually went really well for Impact because he got a kill, Jayce didn't, and notice all these minions that didn't actually make it to the turret. So Ssumday had to roam, and he hadn't even reset it, and now Ssumday getting beat down a little bit here. Impact is actually going to be up in farm, up in gold with the kill too, so should be feeling really good about his position in this 1v1.
Yep, regenerating HP here as well. We'll see what he decides to build with his free shopping opportunity, just grabbing an extra ruby crystal for the HP. Senses that something is going wrong thanks to the ward there in the tri-brush, trying to get away from Contractz. The damage goes through and a little bit more will do it. There's the kick for the kill, and Contractz finds another here for his team.
Yeah, that is actually a really good punish there from Contractz. Top laners are always the most vulnerable as far as their state in the game right after their teleport. And Impact did use the teleport there. The wave was at his turret. Ssumday, was going kind of even on those trades, but he got low enough that they could punish. Here's the earlier play one more time. Remember, Jensen did not have his flash available. He is fairly low. Contractz is higher level and had a red buff. So this is actually a pretty risky fight for TL to be taking. Jensen, really good dodge again on that shockwave, but comes back in, does get chased down. And I think if 100 Thieves actually went over to Ssumday a little bit faster instead of chasing to try to take down Broxah, they could have even saved Ssumday too, because it is just those final ticks of Ignite that did take him down. And either way, still pretty good for 100 Thieves, but I would say overall, not that bad for TL because Ornn's going to be pretty happy about it at least.
Right. As long as Ornn's able to scale up, it's what you were talking about. The main threat towards this champion will be physical damage based. It's easy to stack that armor early on in the game. We know how much Ornn likes to build the upgraded Sunfire Cape and upgraded Abyssal Mask, and considering you get 100 magic resistance out of the Abyssal Mask upgrade, he won't need any more MR than that for the entirety of the game. And it's just going to be the armor show here for this guy as things keep progressing forwards. 100 Thieves have earned themselves almost a 1,500 gold lead just from the plays that they've made so far, as Cody's son could be in some trouble here. Nice sidestepping away from both the True Shot Barrage and the Bard Binding afterwards, dealing pretty gracefully here with the 1v2 situation.
Yeah, that was actually really nice movement there from Cody's son, and it's always risky to get left alone as an Ashe. That looked like it was just the setup from the Bard ultimate. Yes, you can try to flash that, but even then, it's a pretty down trade for you. Ashe has no dash or anything like that to really just get out of that. So Poome on the roam, TL is able to punish that, but due to some nice movement from Cody's son, it's punished by a loss of a summoner instead of a kill.
And when we look at the summoners right now, you can see no teleports available on the side of 100 Thieves. Tactical's teleport almost back up here on the side of TL, and I point this out because the second Drake of the game is now live. You already mentioned how TL's not particularly concerned with trying to get a 4-stack on their own. They just want to prevent an early soul by 100 Thieves. You can see since the first Drake was Cloud and this one is Infernal, we are going to get either an Ocean or Mountain Soul this time around. And 100 Thieves are dropping the Rift Herald here in the bottom lane as a distraction while Contractz heads over towards that Drake pit with Poome backing him up. They will just barely miss out on getting the entirety of the first turret there. They will get most of the plates. It's still standing with only a sliver of HP, but CoreJJ and Broxah are moving to join the party, with Ryoma and Cody's son also working their way into that bottom side river, though TL will not risk anything for that kind of a fight. It's just not worth it, and that's an easy second Drake here for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, playing it really well. I think as expected, this is how it should go, and they are making it happen thus far. I'm not sure if they got the gold. So Cody's son, I didn't see any play gold pop up over his head. It may have still been in range of Contractz because the range is actually really long now with that Rift Herald, but I'm not certain that they actually got any gold from those turret plates, unfortunately, because Cody's son hadn't tagged it and didn't see any gold popping up over his head, but maybe we can get a confirmation on that because that's a fairly big deal. But either way, 100 Thieves
about 300 gold.
Playing to their win conditions, and they have all of the early objectives. They've grabbed 2 of those dragons in a row. They grabbed the Rift Heralds, and it's going to become a question of when will 100 Thieves have to fight? Up on the top lane, might be now.
Yeah, it looked for a second like Ssumday might have been stuck in a fight there, but he did a good job blinking in between where that ulti was going to come from and where it was going to go, making sure the flash got him out. As Tactical, maybe the target of the dive here. Contractz getting the CC back, but is outplayed by Team Liquid, who turn around and take him down.
Yeah, that looked like Contractz was going way too far. Cody-san was not in range to follow it up, and with CoreJJ coming back, helping out Tactical, that was a lot of tower shots that Contractz actually did tank up, and that's a fair bit of your lead now gone in that bottom lane, because the lead is just in farm, right? They have taken the additional plates, they will be able to take down that turret now, but you just gave over that kill to Tactical. He got a red buff off it as well, I do believe. So Tactical going to be sitting in an okay spot. 100 Thieves though, 2,000 gold up, thanks to that tower, thanks to some farm advantages.
Yep, total gold on the side of your screen there. You can see it's Ryoma and Cody Sun comfortably out in front of anybody else by at least a kill's worth of gold. Tactical just barely ahead of Contractz after that, we'll call it a donation, underneath the tier 1 turret by the 100 Thieves jungler there. And Jensen, the mid laner for Team Liquid, behind in gold compared to that jungler on 100 Thieves here early on. Things boding really well here for this squad that, although they sit at 4 and 7, I've honestly been impressed with what we've been seeing out of them here in their last few games. Yes, they didn't have the greatest game versus TSM on Friday. It was a 40-minute long game that ultimately they were not able to win, but still being able to be the first team to take down Cloud9 and now having a good early game against the other top team in the LCS bodes really well for them.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the teams that were lower towards the start have made big improvements and are now threats, right? And I think we're seeing that from 100 Thieves. We're seeing that from Dignitas, certainly, even sometimes from Immortals, who has had some close games against top teams. But, no one can really be taken lightly at the moment. These teams at the top aren't so far ahead of the rest of the pack that is just absolute crushing games anymore.
Anybody can take a game off of anybody else in the current state of the summer LCS. Means you don't get any of those freebies. There's so many trap games where you just walk into it and think, oh yeah, this one will be free. Don't worry about it, guys. Focus on the next one. And then as soon as you blink your eyes and open them back up, you're done. Your Nexus is blowing up. CoreJJ maybe looking for an opportunity to make a play down here onto Poome and Cody Sun. They got Broxah hanging out in the tri-bush behind them. Poome may come around here and see if there's any vision to lay down. Contractz also hovering. Means we could get some 3v3 action going on here with CoreJJ placing the ward over the wall. Poome is aware of that. Now you can see pings coming out from 100 Thieves saying, okay, we've got Team Liquid players over the wall there, at least CoreJJ, and so now they're going to back up. They don't want anything to do with this. Not enough information.
Yeah, I think TL just really played that more slowly because they weren't sure exactly where Contractz was. They hadn't had eyes on him for a while, and if he is waiting directly behind the Ashe and can respond instantly, that could actually go poorly for them. Given what we see with all the vision, we knew that Contractz was far enough away that you could very easily have Bard ulted the flashless Cody Sun, you portal over, and that's a free kill. But that's why vision control is so important, right? It's denying information sometimes as much as it is establishing your own.
And I want to give more compliments over here to Contractz, sitting at 1-1 and 2 on the Lee Sin, still outpacing Broxah's Graves in terms of farm, which you do not expect to see. And Broxah's 0-0-0. This has been PvE Graves. If he's playing an MMO, he's not heading to the arena. He's farming wolves for the village elder, making sure that he's picking up all the sticks and the flowers and stuff. This dude is out here quest through the jungle just leveling up. Yeah. But he's still only behind pace compared to the Lee Sin. So I would definitely say this has been a better jungling game for Contractz so far, despite the mistake underneath the tier 1 turret than we saw in the dive against Tactical. But I like seeing this because Contractz was a player who, when he first came into the league, remember, was super hyped up and was really popping off and has since fallen off compared to that start and what everybody was expecting for him. So seeing him play aggressively and confidently is really fun.
Yeah, third dragon. It is going to be that point where they fight, and Ssumday poked out almost instantly. Does have teleport, so he can come back, but TL's looking to engage.
Here we go. Damage coming down onto Ryoma, who has to try to keep himself alive. His Impact's going to be taken very low. Tempered Fate lands onto 3, but Impact is already gone. Jensen looking for some more damage. Contractz jumping in there, but won't be able to find anybody. 100 Thieves, nicely done. Ssumday grabbing the kill onto Jensen thanks to the shockwave set up from Ryoma. And Team Liquid is not doing too well in these fights.
No, they're not. I mean, they actually had the health advantage still, so multiple members are getting sent back, but they have teleports. Double TP coming in here from Contractz. his team is coming into support, and he can move into fight.
Contractz trying to set this fight up, make it so his team can catch up in time to grab these kills. Poome and Ssumday, the skill shots will not find their mark in Broxah, but still, he's half HP, he's chased away. And with 100 Thieves pressuring onto this third Drake now, a TP is coming in from Team Liquid. They do not want to give this one away. Contractz still on that Earth Drake there in the back part of the fight. Nice Shock Blast finding its way onto both Tactical and CoreJJ. You can see Jensen now back alive, trying to throw some trouble bubbles here into the river, get some poke damage down onto these guys. Will manage to do just that and get himself back out of the fight, but Contractz still with control over the Drake. Jensen gets the kill into Ssumday. Ryoma goes for the shockwave, but he won't find a damn thing, and Team Liquid, they punish 100 Thieves for the overstay, and they take the Dragon, +3.
100 Thieves just hesitated so much there. They weren't willing to actually fully commit to chasing off Jensen. They had 3 members who were just standing in range of Jensen's poke over the wall, getting harassed constantly. You know, Cody's son got put down to 10% between Jensen's poke and Tactical's ultimate, and you know, when they finally do actually step forward, Ryoma died before that shockwave even completed. You know, that would have been a great shockwave, but he's too low health. And I do think that 100 Thieves either needed to go for the hard engage 5v4 away from Jensen or collapse back to him, try to leash that dragon, but they did neither. They just kind of waffled in the middle, and they got punished so hard, and now your lead is completely gone. You're behind the scaling teamfighting team. You needed that third dragon. Gold is now even just like that, and I think TL are in full control of the game.
Oh no, the Drowsy even finds its way on the Contractz.
Oh.
Take a nap, buddy. Jensen picking up a freebie in mid lane.
That was a nice cue from Jensen, though, bending the bullet around that minion, it felt like. Pretty clean stuff, and even getting the flash out of Poome. Look at that poke from Ezreal, who's now on 2 items plus QSS, so guess what? Your hard engage is Ashe arrow. Who cares? You're not going to be able to kill off the Ezreal now. So this is where it really starts to fall apart when you play these types of compositions. They're extremely execution heavy. You are betting on your laning advantages turning into an insurmountable lead, and that is generally done through the soul. And, you know, one bad fight like that can mean GG.
The way I look at it is you have to make a bunch of... Okay, hold on. We don't even have time to talk about that as the ulti's coming in. Impact looking for the damage here. Ryoma gets away from any of the follow-up coming through from Team Liquid, but what I was going to say is when you're playing a comp like this, you have to make so many small decisions correctly, but then any mistake is automatically a big mistake. So 20 right choices and 1 wrong one can still be a loss.
It can, as long as that wrong one is a major one, right? You know, one big team fight loss. You know, one pick might not lose you the game, one little thing like that, but this was a dragon being given up, multiple kills being given up, tower going down. You know, a big team fight loss against a scaling team can often be lights out, right? And it's kind of a lot down to thought process and how you like to play the game. Do you want to be in the driver's seat and try to play always aggressive, or do you want to be, you know, that team that is playing more for team fights as TL has for the last couple of years, where they go for scaling and their objective is more to withstand? TL often feels like they're winning the game as long as things are within striking distance, right? Because their champions are giving them advantages going forward.
And we've talked about this, the desk has talked about this, how Team Liquid is one of the slowest teams here in LCS Summer 2020. They play for scaling. It's the classic NA win condition of we're better than you. All we have to do is just wait it out and scale with a draft that scales up. And the conversation of whether or not that's valuable against other top teams from other major regions once we get to international competition is irrelevant for right now, because right now this works for them. And other teams have to be able to find an answer to this. They have to be able to play aggressively against TL, and although it was working for 100 Thieves for the first 15 minutes, that one big mistake, man, that one dragon fight, that one overstay puts us right back into a Team Liquid ball game as Impact has both of those big items upgraded. I always talk about Sunfire and Abyssal, 3,000 gold plus worth of value there on those 2 upgrades. The Ornn is just a force of nature here at this point, turns around, puts a big old burp onto Ssumday, gets hit by the full combo of the damage, just doesn't care and walks back.
Yeah, pretty much that's how it feels playing against Ornn, and it's always frustrating because people talk a lot about like split pushing against Ornn and things like that, but one of the things that's often overlooked is how good his wave clear is. Like if 5 people show up, sure, he can't just walk up and Bellows Breath the wave and wave clear it, but if it's a 1v1, you can largely just ignore the person and kill the wave, right? Q, you get a full Bellows Breath on 6 minions, and they pretty much just die. Like, it's not that hard to clear it out, and you can deny access to turrets fairly easily because of that.
Still less than a 1,000 gold separation between these two squads, though. Worth pointing out that that is going to be a little bit deceptive because of what you've said about how much better Team Liquid scales. And
no flash.
Let's see if they can find the kill here. Off of the initiation from CoreJJ. Yes, they can. Why do I even pose it as a question? There is so much artillery power between the Ezreal and the Zoe together once they make these picks. CoreJJ on the Bard, 0-0-4. Once again, working towards that perfect support scoreline here for TL as they're all grouped up, looking to push down this mid lane tier 1. Next Drake will be spawning in under 10 seconds.
And I've got to give credit to CoreJJ because that is something that you always want to see is the follow-up on the punish of getting a cooldown, right? And he actually was the one who forced Poome's flash about 4 minutes ago after they killed off that dragon. They went towards topside, and he got flash off Karma. Guess who he uses his next ultimate on? As soon as Poome is out of position a little bit, no flash on Karma, easy ultimate, easy kill. Those are the kind of punishes you want to see because too many people, force that initial flash, force those initial summoners, and never follow up on it, which really isn't worth much.
The Poome gang is in shambles this game as Poome is just not finding the opportunities to make these plays happen on this champion. You can see Broxah, now he's farming up that Drake there by himself, doesn't need any help on it. I mean, he's Graves. This is very easy to solo down. And
still 0-0-0.
Yeah, 0-0-0. That was okay. So he's passed the Village Elder opening quests. This was the first big region quest where you have to solo down the large dragon by yourself and be able to come back with its tail or something.
You know what the worst part about those is? You have to kill like 34 dragons to get a tail for some reason. Even though they all have a tail very clearly, it's like, I need 4 dragon's eyes. You're like, sweet, gotta kill 2 dragons. Like 1 dragon's eye has dropped in like 86 kills. Like what's going on here?
I still don't have the
My immersion is ruined.
37 runs of this. Tactical trying to keep himself away from the CC and damage 100 Thieves, but 100 Thieves who need to be worried. Poome is in the dirt for the 3rd time this game, and Team Liquid are just finding kill after kill into this poor Karma. Tier 1 turret taken down. Tactical using that E to get himself away from the shockwave of Ryoma. Yes, he takes the damage, but the CC will be buffered, and that means Team Liquid aren't going to have any sort of consequence for committing to that tier 1 turret. Shock Blast just barely going to miss there on the Tactical at the very end, and because he has some life steal there with the Legend Bloodline, you can see him just healing up here with the Mystic Shots.
Yeah, the vision score is also pretty outstanding for CoreJJ. Is that bugged or is that real? 121 vision score? I don't know if I've seen one that high this early in the game.
I was going to say, it's 25 minutes. To have 121?
That's insane. That's like more than
that's
double
100 more than his top laner.
Excuse
100
me?
more. Look at Impact. His Impact is at 21.
You look over at the marksman, and then there's like 0. It's a classic solo queue.
121. What is this? I don't
know.
Okay, well, CoreJJ is just a monster this game. From his initiations to his vision control, the man is clearly just on a rampage. 0-0-5 here. Goes for the Tempered Fate, but quick feet coming out from Ssumday to step away from that one, not be caught out. But Team Liquid continues just putting more and more elements of this game in their favor. Tied up on Drakes now. Ryoma trying to get this wave shoved up here in the mid lane, but there's CoreJJ. Tries to look for a bind onto Poome yet again. He's got his number, Ezreal.
Yep. It's one of those things where you start looking over at the items too, and you're like, huh, how do you win this game? You take a little peek over at Jensen. All of a sudden, poke is actually just deletion, right? It's like, instead of throwing a little cute water balloon, he's just shooting nukes out of his hands now. He's got his Death Cap, Ludens, double Spell Pen, and a 15-stack Mage Eyes. Compared to, look how defensive the itemization is from Ryoma. And I'm not even saying he did anything wrong with this itemization, but, Seraph's Banshees and a Merc Tread is not going to be anywhere even comparable to the amount of damage that Jensen is able to put out. One misstep, and, Ssumday or Ryoma or Cody-san, you're actually just dead from full.
It's so difficult for this team to do it without a real tank, right? When you don't have anybody who can ever run the risk of getting hit by one of those bubbles and being able to walk away from it without needing to go back to base. Like, yeah, you've got Lee Sin with a Black Cleaver and a Warrior. That's strictly bruiser items, right? There's no way that this guy's in good condition.
And 0 MR. Literally 0.
Yeah, he's got a Ninja Tabby as his only tanky item, as the only thing actually giving him resistances. It's very scary for the entirety of this squad to go anywhere where Zoe and Ezreal projectiles are going to be finding. And that goes for Bard ultimates too. If one of those finds you, you know the setup is going to be coming shortly thereafter. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's getting really rough here for 100 Thieves. They're going to have to find some sort of a miracle play, some sort of an opportunity. Contractz goes in for the kick, but it will not do a damn thing. Tactical immediately getting himself out of the trouble there. True Shot Barrage coming through. CoreJJ looking for the kill on the back end of the fight as Broxah shows up, putting the bullets into Ryoma. Into the line. Won't quite find the mark there. As Tactical continues chasing forward. Impact not going to find anybody with a knock up there on that Ornn ulti. And Team Liquid just completely dominate that fight from start to finish.
All I could think about is I was like, oh, Broxah's finally going to get an assist. He's on the board. And then they all got the way.
Broxah's going to end this game 0-0-0 at this rate. It's just
He's the Tibetan monk of League of Legends.
Conscientious objector Broxah. Making sure that he's not getting involved. He's still doing his part, though. As Team Liquid has the Baron down to about 3K here. We'll see if Contractz can get in there in time. No, he cannot. And all of Team Liquid is through the back of the Baron pit there, through the magical journey. They're out. They're safe. They got the Baron. And they've got a 3,000 gold lead with it. Drake coming up here in 3 seconds. It's 100 Thieves who have the inside track on this bottom river. We'll see if they can rush this one down. Broxah is moving towards it. Has to be careful to not run in there too fast on his own. Two-shot barrage flying through. It looks like TL will just go ahead and concede this one, fortunately for them, because they did a good job of stopping the last two Drakes. That means it's not Soul, but with Impact coming around, oh, 100 Thieves, you got to get the hell out of town. It is going to get real dicey real quick here as Impact charges into the middle of 4. Going to be tanking a lot of damage here at the start. Tempered Fate not finding the mark just yet. 100 Thieves do manage to get everybody away. Nicely done.
Now they do escape, so good job by them trying to get something back there. TL can continue to push from here, though, and the problem just remains, how do you actually kill off these key members? You know, Ezreal is the only one really exposing himself, and even with a good kick-in from Contractz we saw last time, you can QSS shift. You just need to have a dash, and you can actually QSS that knockback there and get away. He did that very easily. He has since bought a stopwatch. He has completed the Death Dance, so he has tons of armor. He's got a lot of MR between the QSS and that Death Dance as well. So he's just looking nearly impossible to actually take down. I do think there's a hope maybe of killing Jensen if you can knock him in, but he still has stopwatch and all the move speed that he's going to have, double summoners. It's such a long shot now, 400 Thieves, and when TL has Baron, they're just going to be pushing straight at you, and they're always going to see where you're trying to engage from, where you are actually coming at them from, which makes it just almost impossible for 100 Thieves to do anything.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, in a situation like this, you got to make some sort of a Hail Mary play to go for one of these carries and find some sort of fight that you shouldn't win, right? But when a team has a stopwatch on every valuable member, they're the Patriots. They're just deflating the ball. You can't throw a Hail Mary anyway. It's not going to work. I mean, at that point, your win condition is gone. So what are you going to do when everybody who matters has a stopwatch? You're not getting anything of value by these crazy Hail Mary engages. What's it going to amount to? And the answer is nothing. 100 Thieves are at this point depending on a big error from Team Liquid. Otherwise, it seems like Liquid has just scaled to the point of inevitability.
That's how it's really feeling to me. It is good that 100 Thieves got that last dragon, because now at least you can hope maybe to get a pick into Soul, and then maybe you can get something done. But even with Soul, because it's actually just a Mountain Soul, I don't think it's going to help as much against the style of composition that TL is running. You know, they still have a high amount of consistent damage. It will help you from, you know, not getting one shot maybe by the Zoe or something with that additional shielding, but I don't think it's going to push you over the edge as far as the damage you need to actually push through these fights, and it just feels like they're lacking.
Oh, big shockwave. Nice shockwave onto 4 players from the side of Team Liquid. Turret still standing, but not for long. That one falling down means Contractz may be able to go for some kind of a play here. Gets exhausted in the back line of TL. Drowsy already taken down. Tactical going on a killing spree here as Team Liquid continue to kite themselves back and now re-engage the fight. You can see the back coming out there potentially from Jensen. Decides against it as TL continue to push forward as a unit.
They're going to look for this inhibitor. They could get their second right now and then potentially reset, as they should have a lot of gold in their bags, but you know, even with TL, that was a TL mistake. They grouped up on top of that Orianna ball. That was a 4-man shockwave on everyone except Impact, I do believe. So really the most ideal targets, but still not enough to actually burst anyone down. because they are pretty far behind, because of some of that defensive itemization. And then Contractz had a good flanking angle, but couldn't actually land the Q, so didn't really amount to much, and wasn't able to get one of those critical targets in, because they pretty much need to instantly kill Jensen or Tactical to have a chance.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, sound the air horn, set off the fireworks, fill the air with confetti. Broxah's on the board with that 1 assist. The man is ready. It took 33 minutes.
0-0-1, baby. Infinite KDA, let's go.
0-1. My man is smurfing here in this game. No deaths, still contributing to the team. And remember when I was talking earlier about how the Lee Sin was outpacing him? Not so much anymore. The power of Graves for farming up. He's now 70 farm ahead. He has the upgraded Black Cleaver. He has the Death's Dance. This Graves is very strong, although he just doesn't have a lot of kill participation.
Yeah, this is like that solo queue jungler you have where it's like, he's just AFK farming the whole game and you're not really doing anything. You're killing them all, and then he's like, jungle difference because he's up to
jungle difference.
Look at the farm, by the way.
Scaling BTW as Team Liquid with 2 enemy inhibitors down. They're just marching it down mid here with the minions. Baron gonna spawn in about 50 seconds. Drake is up in 15. Team Liquid is aware of the fact that if 100 Thieves get this one, it is Soul. Oh no, not Poome again. Oh, it is Poome again. CoreJJ taking the kill credit, getting his first kill of the game. And with their support out of the picture, 100 Thieves know there's no way you win a 4v5 in open ground against Team Liquid like this. No way to challenge for any sort of a Drake right now. Damage goes through. That's his entire health bar. Ryoma whips the shockwave, not going to find much of anybody there. Tactical popping that Mercurial Scimitar, trying to move up here a little bit faster, stay on the pursuit, but they will not get the kill anyway. That's... I really just don't have anything non-sarcastic to say about that damage on the Lee Sin, so let's watch the turrets instead, as both Nexus turrets now taking a lot of damage. Both Nexus turrets now out of the picture. 100 Thieves watching the last few moments of the game slip away as Team Liquid put the finishing touches onto the Nexus. Impact looking to do the auto attacks. Broxah grabbing a kill onto Ssumday, getting it right there at the finish line, ladies and gentlemen.